Y'all ready? Good afternoon. I'm Colonel Mike Hagar with the Arkansas State Police. I want to thank our media partners not only for being here today, but for the respectful way that you covered the events yesterday in DeValls Bluff, which is greatly appreciated. I'm joined today by Jonathon Ross, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Arkansas, Corey Harris, the Acting U.S. Marshal for the Eastern District of Arkansas, Supervisory Deputy U.S. Marshal Kevin Sanders, also from the Eastern District, Supervisor Special Agent Clayton Merrill from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, Major Stacy Rhodes, Division Commander from the State Police Criminal Investigations, Major Ron Casey, Division Commander, State Police Highway Patrol, and members of the State Police SWAT team. We want to walk you through the events that occurred yesterday in DeValls Bluff with some initial opening statements, then open up for any questions that you guys may have for us. The U.S. Marshal's Office has been actively searching for Darrell Lawayne Esau for more than a year and a half. Mr. Esau had active warrants for his arrest that include multiple counts of first-degree battery, more commonly referred to or known as attempted murder. Esau had previously been convicted on homicide charges. Agents from the State Police Criminal Investigation Division were able to determine his whereabouts late Wednesday evening as a result of an unrelated criminal investigation. Once he was positively identified, the U.S. Marshal's Office Fugitive Task Force and State Police personnel went to his location in an attempt to take him into custody around 9 a.m. yesterday morning. The arrest team was immediately met with automatic gunfire from the suspect. Law enforcement returned fire and called for additional assets. The State Police Special Operations Group was activated, which included SWAT, crisis negotiations, and aircraft support. State Police negotiators made contact with Mr. Esau and attempted to negotiate his surrender for just over 2.5 hours. Negotiations broke down as Mr. Esau then began engaging State Police SWAT team members with automatic gunfire. SWAT returned fire that resulted in Mr. Esau being killed in that exchange. The investigation is still ongoing, but we know that Mr. Esau fired at least 169 rounds from 6 different weapons, at least one of which is a full automatic weapon. 2 were high-powered rifles, commonly referred to as assault weapons. More than 400 rounds were exchanged between the suspect and law enforcement. State Police Criminal Investigation Division will be the primary investigative agency. We requested that the FBI Evidence Response Team respond to assist. Alicia Corder, Special Agent in charge of FBI, immediately approved that request and dispatched a significant number of agents to the scene to assist, for which we are very grateful. The weapons will now be processed by the ATF for further analysis. This is just one more example of local, state, and federal partners working together for the overall mission of keeping the citizens of Arkansas safe. I'll now turn it over to our U.S. Attorney from the Eastern District, Mr. Jonathon Ross.
Thank you. It's a miracle that no one else was killed yesterday. That's what one Deputy U.S. Marshal shared with me immediately after yesterday's incident was brought to a close. A violent man wanted for multiple violent crimes unleashed a violent storm of fully automatic gunfire as the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force attempted to apprehend him. It was clear he was determined not to be taken into custody. Mr. Esau had active warrants out of Little Rock for 4 counts of terroristic act, battery first degree, possession of firearm by a certain person. He also had active warrants out of the Sherwood Police Department for terroristic act, possession of firearm by a certain person, aggravated residential burglary, and domestic battery first degree, and also an outstanding warrant from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office for robbery. He was also an absconder from ACC for commercial burglary and possession of firearm by certain persons. This arrest yesterday was just one of multiple arrests made in the last 48 hours by the U.S. Marshals Service Fugitive Task Force. One of 13 arrests in which the U.S. Marshals have been able to clear 36 felonies, 9 misdemeanors. 8 firearms have been taken into possession, $60,000 in cash, and an unknown amount of drugs at this point. I arrived at the scene yesterday to support our federal law enforcement partners and our state and local law enforcement partners an hour into the nearly 4-hour standoff. And I would just like to personally comment that watching the men and women of the Arkansas State Police, the United States Marshals Service, the ATF, the FBI, the Prairie County Sheriff's Office, the Des Arc Police Department, and numerous other law enforcement agencies throughout Central Arkansas all rally to come to that scene and make sure that the operation was successful. It was a remarkable thing to witness, and every citizen of Arkansas should be very proud of how our federal, state, and local law enforcement professionals work together to protect us all from these violent criminals. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again, the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force always gets their man. So if you are a fugitive with violent criminal history or outstanding warrants for violent crimes, you should just go ahead and turn yourself in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd just like to take this opportunity to remind our citizens that we are your Arkansas State Police. We and most of our federal partners are located in Little Rock, or headquartered in Little Rock. We want you to know that law enforcement operations are conducted daily in the most rural parts of Arkansas, to include a town like DeValls Bluff that has a population of 500. We realize that our agencies are very expensive to fund. We do not take that lightly. We owe it to our citizens to let you know what we're doing with the resources you've trusted us with. Yesterday alone, more than 150 local, state, and federal law enforcement officials assisted in this operation. We suffered tens of thousands of dollars in damages to our armored vehicles, drones, law enforcement vehicles, etc. We thank God no innocent civilians or law enforcement officers were injured due to the collective resources that were applied. Our sole mission is and always will be public safety. We are committed to keeping our citizens safe, and we will always put your safety above our own. And with that, we'll open for any questions that you have for us.
Hey, I'm Caroline with Caretaker Warren Block 16. You mentioned some of your equipment was damaged yesterday. Were there any other homes or businesses, anything in that area that were also maybe hit by gunfire that you know of?
Not that I've been made aware of. Major Rose, do you know if we have?
I don't know.
Okay. Not that we've been made aware of.
Nick, can you clarify how long the standoff was?
It started about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it resolved about 1:15, I believe, yesterday afternoon.
Which warrant was it, the initial, that was initially to be served yesterday morning? Because I understand that he had other warrants from other counties and cities as well.
Right, yeah, it was just all of them. He had several outstanding warrants, both state, federal. I believe the U.S. Marshal's Office had been tasked with his apprehension approximately a year and a half ago.
Do we know at this point how this man acquired automatic weapons or automatic weapons?
No, sir, we do not. ATF is working on that for us now, and they're doing an analysis of all the weapons and their origin, but we do not know that yet. That it? Y'all are easy. Okay. Thank you. On a side note, I believe you guys may have seen, we put the armored vehicle that was on scene yesterday that received a lot of gunfire. It's out in the front if you guys need that for any, I think it's called B-roll footage or whatever the case may be. But we'll walk out there with you. If you have any questions, we have members of our SWAT team that can answer any questions for you when we're outside.
Real quick.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of the proximity of where this took place and the Dollar General and then the preschool through maybe 5th grade, I think, that local school, just because the way that this was isolated and that there wasn't any other injuries or deaths that occurred, and just if you want to talk about the proximity of where this
Right.
place is.
So law enforcement when it became an active situation as far as the gunfire, when that started, one of the first primary responsibilities of law enforcement is to evacuate that immediate area. And basically, if it's close enough to hear or see that gunfire, it's too close. So during that standoff, there were a lot of efforts made to evacuate all the homes and the people out of those homes and any businesses that would have been affected. We're good? Okay, thank you.